Good morning. How's everybody doing? Oh, come on. How is everybody doing? All right. I'm trying to get used to this. I've never done this before. So just forgive me if I'm not used to it. But anyway, I need you to do me all a favor. I need you to turn to your neighbor. I need you to look to someone that is next to you. And I want you to give them the best encouragement. Wait, hear it out. Today is Saturday, am I correct? I want you to give them the best encouragement that they have received all week. Okay? Think about it before you say something. Don't say, your hair looks nice. No, we need something more than that, okay? The best encouragement they received all week. You have 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go. Give them something. You are looking amazing. All right, return the favor, return the favor. If they said something nice, you tell them something nice. If they said something mean, well, you got to let them have it too. I'm just kidding. A round of applause for yourselves. A round of applause for yourselves. It is such a pleasure being here with each and every one of you. My name once again is Ayo Owodunni. I'm a management consultant. I'm a city councilor. Most of the times when I'm on stage, I struggle because I never know which hat I'm supposed to put on when I'm speaking. Usually when people hear the word politician, they go, oh, one of those people. When they hear management consultant, they're willing to lean in. So I got to play this dance with you half the time. So every now and then, I will have to put on the counselor hat. And then every now and then, I got to put on the consultant hat and be able to work through both of them with you. I feel like a lot of people here live in Ward 5. I see some Ward 5 people. You see, I put on the political hat. Let me take it off. Welcome to today's conference. In a day and age where our tech companies are struggling when it comes to hiring, when it comes to keeping staff members, in a day and age where organizations their margins are being sliced thinner and thinner as the days go by, and they're doing everything that they can to be able to hold on to things. In a day and age where we have thousands and thousands of immigrants that are coming in, and we might have 130-something thousand that might have to leave sometime soon, international students. Some of the people that work at Conestoga that are here know what I'm talking about. In a day and age where there is an economic downturn, an economic slowdown, in a day and age where inflation is in the highest that it's been in decades. In a day and age where our friends, our lovely friends down south, are struggling. Whenever you hear the word DEI, it turns controversial and sometimes turns into a fight. Those are the times that we're in today. And we need something different in this day and age. We need leaders that are in various sectors, that are in various industries who are willing to rise up, step up, be able to separate themselves from others, and more importantly, we need inclusive leadership. And my assignment today is to come here and chat and have a conversation with you. I don't remember how long that I have, so I need someone in the back. I teach at Conestoga, so I teach for 3 hours, so I can ramble for 3 hours, but I know I have a timeline. I'll try to stick to it as best as possible. In our organizations, in our communities, in our nation, in our homes, with our families, we are in dire need of inclusive leadership. So let me just quickly define it so we're all on the same page. What is inclusive leadership? It's a type of leadership that values team members, it invites diverse perspectives, and it creates an environment where people feel like they belong. When an individual feels like they belong, they're able to bring their authentic self, they're able to bring their best self, they're able to bring ideas, they're able to bring so much to the table that is of value to that organization, to that community as well. And I want to challenge each and every one of us, because this is a very diverse audience. And our nation is changing as the days go by. We're expecting 500,000 permanent residents next year. I don't know the number of students that are going to come as well with all the changes that are happening, but think about the number of people that are coming into our workforce. Think about the people that are entering your organizations. It was not what it was 10 years ago. So just like Marshall Goldsmith said in his book, what got us here will not get us there. We need to change our thinking. We need to change our strategy. And it starts with each and every one of us, myself included. And the challenge is the power and the importance of being inclusive in our thinking, inclusive in our strategies, and inclusive when we bring people together. So I started something a few months ago. This is me putting on my political hat now. I started something a few months ago in my in Ward 5 where I started to grab coffee with people that live in my ward. I felt as a politician, every now and then you get reports. And by the way, thank you for that one page that you shared earlier. Sometimes we would get a 500-page document Friday at 2 p.m. and I'm expected to discuss it Monday at noon or 1 p.m. or whenever it is. So I got 3 days to read through all of it. And every now and then I'll do something silly where I will ask a question and then one of our staff members, staff is not here so I can say this, one of our staff members will say, sir, if you refer to page 423, why would I be reading page 423 Sunday at 1 a.m.? Like, you got to be kidding me. But it happens every now and then. So I grabbed coffee with people in my ward, and I had a chance to meet a young lady who moved here from India. Well, from India to the United States. Her husband worked in the tech sector in San Francisco, and then they moved over here to Waterloo region. They live in Ward 5. And had a conversation with her, just getting to know her, her and her husband, and she shared she has been here for 2 years. She's not been able to find a job. She's looking for things to do, so she started to volunteer, just to take up time and just so, she has something to do to add value. But after some time volunteering in an organization, she decided to step back. And when I asked her why, she said, they don't see me. What do you mean by that? Now, I know the individuals that work in that organization because I sit with that board every now and then. I've had a chance to meet with all of them. They're amazing people. They are amazing people. I'm not saying anyone is racist or sexist or anything. They are wonderful people. But for some reason, this lady shared, I would show up at meetings. They would have conversations. My thoughts or my ideas are not even paid attention to. It sort of just gets brushed over. There are many times in our conversations where it doesn't even seem like I'm there. When the little chit-chats that we all love to do within our certain groups, I'm not welcomed or included in that. Eventually, that individual left that organization. And things like that are happening on a regular basis. You might think it is ridiculous. But let me share another story with you of a good friend of mine who owns his own startup now, who joined an organization and after 3 months went to his manager and handed his resignation letter in. The manager asked him, what exactly? Why are you leaving? You've only been here for 3 months. And he said, you're all going to probably laugh at this. He said, I can't find my own food. I'm sick and tired of eating mashed potatoes and gravy. I want to eat my own food. He's from Nigeria. His boss smiled, and his boss connected him with someone else who was a Nigerian in that organization. He finally discovered there was a local Nigerian church. He discovered there was some good pounded yam somewhere that he could eat. Discovered where the stores and the restaurants were. He didn't know all these things existed. But here's the question that comes to mind. Why did it take a resignation letter that is handed in, or 2-week notice or whatever, for the leader in that department to finally do something to try to make that individual feel like they belong? So we have gotten so used to saying hello to people, the Canadian culture. We say, hi, how are you doing? Any issues? Well, he said, no, there are no problems. And we walk away and we leave people alone. Or we take them through the onboarding process and that is it. Or they come join our, they move into our communities. We go over, we knock on their door, we hand them cookies the first day, and that is it. We need to do more than that. When you were chasing that person that you truly love and is very close to your heart, or ladies, remember when you were being chased by that whom you truly loved, who loved you, the reality was it wasn't just the one-time connection. There was that repeated connection that happened over and over and over again. And through that connections, or through the series of connections, you were able to build trust, build connection, felt valued by that individual, and then you dove deeper into a relationship. We need to change how we've always done the business of including people, and we need to move to that next level of inclusive leadership. This is not just a nice to have. This is not just something that is okay. It is reality for us, and it is important that we do it, and we do it well. Why is this important? Let's start with some numbers and some data, because I know there are a lot of data analysts and people that love data here. McKinsey did a study of over 1,000 companies in over a dozen countries, and they were trying to figure out, why is this thing around diversity, equity, inclusion really important and really powerful? They discovered that companies in the top quartile that really took this thing seriously outperformed companies in the fourth quartile by 36% of profitability. Boston Consulting Group did their study as well in 8 different countries, and they discovered companies that had diverse management teams had 19% more revenue than others. How about women? When you think about the impact of women on leadership, 22% when it comes to profitability, 22% when it comes to longer term value chain. Ladies just have a way of creating new ideas as time goes on. Those are some of the benefits of diversity, of equity, of inclusion. We know those numbers. We know it's important, but are you doing them? Are you actually doing them? And since this is a diverse audience, I want to challenge us. Beyond just our Caucasian friends, I want to talk to the Nigerians in the room. I want to talk to the Indians in the room. How are you being inclusive in your thinking? How are you being inclusive in your practices? People remind me of, somebody called me one day and said, oh, you know, Ayo, somebody told me when I call you, I should speak your language to you, and I should tell you that you are from this tribe, and because you've heard those things, you will help me. And I responded and I said, whether you are Nigerian, whether you are Egyptian, whether you are Tanzanian, wherever you are from, you live in the city of Kitchener, I am obligated to serve you. We need to change our mindset. We need to change the conversations we have behind closed doors. Oh, Ayo, you know, those Indians are taking over. Right, I am learning from them as much as you should as well. We need to change our thinking. If we are creating this culture and this melting pot, we need to be aware of some of those conversations we have behind closed doors. We need to start challenging ourselves. We need to change our thinking. We need to change our mindsets. We need to connect and get to know one another better. Because we all have to be inclusive in our thinking. We all have to get better in those practices. We all have to improve in those areas. So I have 4 challenges that I want to give you. I need to go back to my notes so I don't ramble for too long. I have 4 challenges that I want to give you today. The first challenge is you have to be willing to be courageous. So you might want to write that down, willing to be courageous. I used to have a podcast many years ago called The Immigrant View. I used to bring a lot of immigrants on, and things got a bit, busy for me. So I had my executive assistant who was handling and managing a lot of the guests. And one of the guests that my EA reached out to was a member of the 2Ls LGBTQ plus community out in Vancouver. A really phenomenal guy who was doing a documentary of international students who were coming in, who identify with the 2Ls LGBTQ plus community, and who were disowned by their families back home. In fact, in the documentary, one of them said, my family told me, if I come home, they will kill me. So he had no choice but to make Canada home, had no family to go back to, and this has become his family. Here was a shocking part for me. I was uncomfortable doing that podcast interview because we're not from the same community. But because it was booked, I had no choice but to do the podcast interview. And I want to confess that on stage. But as the conversation went on, I watched the documentary before the interview. I was so embarrassed of myself because I'm hearing these stories and I'm going, wow, I can't even have a conversation and look at what these individuals are going through. I was not willing to be courageous to have an interview. I was not willing to learn. I was not willing to open myself. And guess what? At the end of the podcast, he said to me, Ayo, I was nervous speaking to you. And I go, why? He said, because I know you're a Christian, and I thought you're going to come here and you're going to start throwing, scriptures at me and throwing you're wrong and you're this and you're that. So he came on the podcast nervous. I came on the podcast nervous, but we both learned from one another. We have to be willing to be courageous, to have those types of conversations with one another. There is an organization that reached out to me during the pandemic, and they wanted me on their board. I went on their website. There was no black person on their website, even though they catered to black teenagers. The director was white. The board, the entire board, they were all white. And they reached out and asked if I was willing to join. My wife said, heck to the no. You are not joining. And she went on and on and on about how, don't be a part of it, yada, yada, yada. You are going to be a token. They're not going to listen to you. But I was willing to be courageous. Was I nervous? Absolutely. Was I concerned? Yes. But I took that leap of faith, and I decided to go for it. 3 years later, after many conversations, after many pushes, the executive director in that organization is actually in the room today. She's right here, Oluseun. Please, if you can raise your hand so everybody knows who you are. But it started with one conversation. It led to joining the board, being the only black. It led to a series of other conversations. It led to, there is an opportunity, which led to her joining the organization, which has led to so many changes within the organization. And may I say as well, which has led to more money going into that organization because they have someone phenomenal that is leading that organization now. So we need to start taking bold steps. We need to step outside of our comfort zone. We need to be willing to have conversations with people that don't look like us, that don't sound like us, that don't reason like us, and might not eat mashed potatoes the way you eat mashed potatoes as well. We need to be able to step up and do that. So number one is willing to be what? Willing to be courageous. The next one I want to talk about is willing to connect. We need to be willing to connect with people that do not look like us, sound like us, talk like us as well. They're not from our same tribes. The CEO of the Dallas Mavericks, the former CEO, her name is St. Marcia. When she first joined the organization, one of the first things that she tasked herself with was she was going to meet with every individual that worked in that organization. And she said, tell me your story. Would love to learn more about you. She wanted to connect with them first before she talked about business. Well, I'm not the CEO of Dallas Mavericks, so I don't have to do that. Well, there is a CEO of a credit union right here in Kitchener. They have 30 locations across Southwest Ontario. And that CEO challenged himself and said, I'm going to meet with a new person within this organization once a week. Now, we're over 1,000. I might not be able to meet with everyone, but I am challenging myself to meet with one new person. Guess what? Their turnover is ridiculously low. Here's why. When the CEO decides to challenge themselves that way, guess what the VPs of the organization got to do? And, oh, gosh, my boss is meeting with people, so I got to meet with people. But there was a question. I remember I worked in that organization. That's how I know that. And I remember when I was meeting with one of the VPs, there was a question that he asked me, that the CEO also asked, that other VPs asked. What are we doing in this company that seems weird that we need to stop? What do you think? I thought that was an interesting question. And then, what do you think we can do better? So here's this new hire that has only been in the company for 2 weeks, just sharing some of the things that he's noticing, and they were writing notes. Willing to connect with your staff members, willing to connect with your colleagues. How well do you know them? Your one-on-ones are a phenomenal time to be able to connect with people. I was with a friend who's a VP yesterday, and he was sharing with me during his one-on-ones. He ensures the first part of it, he spends it connecting and just checking on them, checking on their family. And I said, why? That's a long time to really check on people. He said, Ayo, trust me, I've worked in sales for 20 years. If they're having an issue back home, they're not going to sell well to my clients. If they're having an issue back home, or if they're going through a divorce process, or they're having an issue with mom or dad or brother or sister or aunt or partner, regardless of what it is, it somehow affects their work. So I want to make sure that they're okay, they're good, so that we can get into the work and I can support them as best as possible. The power of connecting with people. So here's what I would like us to do today, okay? We're going to spend the next 5 minutes connecting with people. You're going to walk around the room and meet with at least 2-3 people. Then I'm going to use style to find out how much time I have left. But here's what I would like you to do. What do we do when we listen to people that are our friends? I need you guys to call it out. I didn't say when you're talking to people that you don't like. I said when you're listening to people that are your friends, that you're really close and connected to. What do you do when you're talking to them? How do you show that you're listening to them? You say what? Active listening. What is active listening? I see eye contact. You're giving them eye contact. What else do you do? You're nodding. One day, you ask questions. One day I was talking to my wife and I was doing and then she said, and then I jumped off the bridge and I rode upside down. And you know what I said? And then she said, you see, you're not listening. So don't do what I did, because I got in trouble for that. But I want to challenge us. We talked about eye contact. We talked about leaning in. We talked about those words that you use, those oh, wow, really? You're going to do all that and show the other person that what they're saying is valuable, it is important, and it means the world to you. You have 5 minutes. I want you to connect with 2-3 people. Write down 2 questions you want to ask. Where did you grow up? What kind of food do you like? How do you say hello in your language? Hi, my name is this. What is your name? What do you do for a living? What has been the greatest achievement? What has been the highlight of the week? What has been a challenge for you for the week? What is a day like with you? Do you like working for your boss? Do you enjoy working for your... I've given you like 5-6 questions. So everybody stand. Let's go. Come on. Let's move. Let's move. Let's stand. Let's stand. All right. Did they smile at you when they were talking to you? No. Jackie said no. Did you add them on LinkedIn after talking to them? I've been told I have 8 more minutes. So I'm going to take 45 minutes and pretend I don't see them over there. I'm kidding. When we connect with people, walls go down, conversations happen, psychological safety is built, you can get ideas, you can get thoughts from people, they give you feedback, you can learn from them. There's so much that could happen. I remember in my previous organization, when I used to have one-on-ones with my team, once a month, I used to do something called the heart check. I used to get nervous for the heart check. For the heart check, during the one-on-ones, I don't talk. The staff do all the talking. And they give me feedback as their leader. And it was the same 5 questions, and it was put in the calendar invite. How am I doing as a leader? What am I doing that is annoying you? What barriers are... They love question number 2. What barriers have I, what barriers are within the organization that could be holding them back that I need to attend to? Is there anything else that I need to know, that I need to be aware of? And how are you doing? Is there anything that I can do to better support you in your career journey? Those are like my 5 questions. They will answer the first 4 very quickly, and then they'll say, we'll come back to number 2. Let's do this one in 5 minutes, and then number 2, we'll stay there for 20 minutes. But I learned so much about myself as a leader when I got that feedback. But when we first started it, the first few months, they didn't share anything with me. Why? Because we hadn't built that trust yet, because the connection wasn't there yet. But as the connection happened, as we did that, they were willing to tell me more and more, Ayo, you brainstorm too much. It's annoying. I laughed as well, but then I realized when they explained it, they said, when you brainstorm as a boss, that tells us we have to go do it. So we leave the meeting with 10 things that we need to do, and we're nervous about the next meeting because another 10 things are going to come to the table. So I had to learn to shut up. They're like, Ayo, you talk too much in our meetings. Let us run the meeting and you step back. Ayo, you do this. Ayo, you do that. And okay, all right, fine. Thank you. 30 minutes is up. Good. But none of that would have come if I didn't connect with them. But as the connection started to happen, the psychological safety was built. As the psychological safety was happening, all other great benefits came from it as well. You'll be shocked the number of organizations that have low psychological safety. But when I speak to the managers tell me they're doing an amazing job. You will be shocked. In fact, there's an organization right here in the Waterloo region where staff members had to go seek therapy because of the trauma that they've dealt with when it came to their leaders. So we need to take this thing seriously. It is very important. So number one was what? Willing to be what? Number two is willing to what? All right, next one, I need you to stand up. Willing to stand up. I don't mean literally stand up. But here's what I mean by that. Everything you say has an impact. Do we all agree with that? I want you to think about this second one. The things you do not say also has an impact. Are you aware of that? Everything you do has an impact, and many times the things that you do not do also has an impact. And usually during the training session, we'll put that slide up and then we will talk about it and then we'll ask people, what do you think you've said or not said, or you've done or not done that you felt has led to an impact? And I remember one lady who was a regional HR director in a company said she had just joined the company, and within 2 weeks of joining the company, she met a VP in that organization that was so demeaning to staff members. But because she was new and nobody said anything, she too was quiet. She didn't call it out. She's new in the organization. And that continued for over a year until head office called her and said, we're getting reports about this person. People are leaving the organization. Have you noticed anything? And then she said, yes, I have actually. And then HR asked the magical question, why have you not said anything? And she said that was the first time she actually went, oh my gosh, I have been part of the problem. I've heard what was happening. I've seen it, but I never said anything. How many times have we seen something that is being done by another man? It's not you, but you're hearing microaggressive comments. You're hearing women in the workforce that are being ignored when they share ideas, and if someone else shares the same idea 10 minutes later and everybody leans in and goes, deep, that's powerful, and you kept quiet. Or you've heard people are frustrated and you know why. Or you have a boss who speaks in a demeaning manner to people and you're quiet and you're not saying anything. When we are quiet, we are complicit. Now, I'm not saying you should go to your work, to the office on Monday, kick the door open, slam something on your boss's table and said, Ayo said I should come talk to you about this because I'm being passionate and I'm taking a stand. You might not have a job in 2 weeks. What I am suggesting is, how do you balance passion with wisdom? How do you challenge people? How do you call people out without embarrassing them? How do you have a one-on-one conversation with someone and challenge them on things that they should do better or they did not do and they're supposed to do? How do you ensure you do that with them? So we've talked about willing to be courageous, willing to connect, willing to stand up. And let me just conclude with this, because they're looking at me in the back and I'm going to pretend I don't see them. A few years ago, I reached out to a former mayor of a city. I had received my citizenship, and it was 2 weeks before nomination. This is my political hat coming on now. And I spoke with him and I said, I'm thinking about running for office. He didn't let me finish the sentence. He said, you must. In fact, Ayo, if you don't, I'll be very disappointed in you. You have to run. There is an individual in this room. When I first moved here, oh yeah, there she is. Janet changed her hair a few times, so I don't know where she is. So I found her. She was in the back, now she's in the front. When I first moved here from Nigeria and I was told by my professor about Institute for Performance and Learning, she was the president then, and I reached out to her. I think the meeting was canceled that day, but she said, still come, let's sit down, let's have a conversation. And I learned so much from her because she was able to provide me tips, advice on things to do. There is a lady that's going to be coming up speaking after me by the name of Jackie Laura, who I reached out to many, many months ago, and I said, I want to start my own consulting firm, but I'm not sure. I don't know how to go about doing this. And she said, no, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to do. These are the steps. These are the things that you need to do. The last one is willing to sponsor. You got to be willing to open doors for people. Okay? Many times, and I'm speaking as an immigrant now, putting on my immigrant hat, many times we over-mentor and we under-sponsor. We are so willing to mentor people, but when it's time for us to open doors for people and make that call and put your name and your reputation on the line, suddenly we back out. I need us to change that. For us to be inclusive in our thinking and the things that we do, we need to be willing to sponsor people. Of course, they have to prove themselves. Of course, there has to be trust that has been built. But when that time comes and that opportunity comes for you to be a name of the reference, or for you to be able to make a call for someone, for you to be able to say, tell them to call me and I will speak on behalf of you, we all need to do that and do it well. It's been a great pleasure being with you. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of the conference.